Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we're seeing the euro in a relatively quiet range. Even the cable a little bit lower, but same thing, relatively quiet. We have seen a bit of a rebound here in equities, and actually the NQ has just tagged or run into some resistance here at the 2-day VWAP. Right there, you can see just about nicked it right there, 238, and the high was 235. We're kind of come back a little bit. We do have some good resistance at this 260, so they may try and jump up to this area. We can take a little bit closer look there. Been a pretty good rebound. We went, after the close and dipped down here, even beyond this area. That was looking at this 1136. Actually, didn't even hit that until after hours, and then we took an additional dip, came down here to 951. I wasn't even paying attention, but at the time it was quiet trading. Even when we down here, it was quiet trading on the way back up. But we've seen a pretty good rebound here, and you can see here. Potentially we can come back up here to 11,260, and I think that would be a pretty good little run. If we're able to jump up in here, you may see the market weaken a bit here, although we've already come here to challenge 2-day VWAP. See if they make this one extra push up in here. Looking at it on the 5-minute. Potentially that could get us up to about 253. And let's see. If we could get just past it, it would take us almost to 286, really right there. We'll be right at 294 if we can push beyond here. But where we've come up here to challenge this 2-day VWAP. We did take a dip. Now we are back up here challenging this. See if what we can do up there. Look at the S&Ps, 3360. Pretty decent rebound also here. Not quite as dramatic as what we've already seen here. We're pretty much in line with what we've seen with the NASDAQ. We'll see if we can make that run up there to about the 253. The stretch area here, see right here, challenging 2-day VWAP. 253, really right in here. See if we can make it up to 264, and the stretch right here would be 294. But that would be a pretty good phenomenal run already at this point. Let's go in and go into the news. Really actually economic data. So really it's quiet until we get into, we talked about that yesterday too. Really pretty light. The biggest story of the week is going to be ECB, but look here, we don't have anything. Even coming into the States, we don't have anything until we do get to JOLTS job openings at 10 a.m. Eastern. And that's going to be it, just JOLTS. Let's move this out of the way. Australian and New Zealand dollars near 2-week lows as the stock market rout saps confidence. And obviously we are seeing a little bit of a return here. The Australian and New Zealand dollars held near 2-week lows on Wednesday on risk as risk appetite turned sour in the wake of a stock market rout and an oil price slump. The Australian dollar was fetching 72.26 after falling as deep as 71.92 into earlier in the session, while its New Zealand counterpart was trading at 66.23. Losses came as a greenback and safe haven yen extended gains in sympathy with tech sell-off that began last week with an apparent trigger driving broader risk aversion. A near 8% drop in U.S. crude also pushed weight on commodity-linked currencies. specific trigger to this sell-off remains elusive, but there are several other things that does not inspire market confidence. Saying U.S. fiscal talks remain stuck and the oil price remained a drag on the markets. Figures from Australian Bureau of Statistics showed the value of owner-occupied home loan commitments surged by the largest in a year in July, and social distancing restrictions eased across most of the country. And a separate survey showed Australian consumer sentiment jumped 18% in September, and the Westpac analyst Bill Evans said was a pleasant surprise. Despite better than expected data, and economists are still predicting a further economic contraction in the third quarter a year due to strict lockdown in Melbourne, in the capital city of Australia's Victorian state. Fiscal stimulus has buttressed the household finance, but it's unlikely to avert a Q3 contraction. Okay, and dollar firms, yen up as tech sell-off hits. The dollar firmed on Wednesday as the stock market slid, spooked investors into selling risky currencies, while worries about Brexit pushed the pound down to a new 6-week low. And let's see here. The moves have made for nearly a 2% bounce in the greenback against a basket of currencies from more than 2-year lows it touched earlier in the month. And the safe haven yen also climbed to 1-week high of 583. The tech sell-off has caught the market by surprise and is a bit jittery as whether there are broader implications as Bank of Singapore analysts. It might force position unwinding in other parts of the market, and that's probably what we're seeing right now. The dollar has been sliding since March, and in Asia trade, the dollar is mostly steady, pulling back on earlier gains on majors as U.S. equity futures paired losses. It might force some position unwinding in other parts of the market, and that's probably what we're seeing right now. The risk-sensitive antipodean currencies crept from 2-week lows with the futures trade to leave Aussie ahead at 72.26. The pound also languished to a 6-week low at 90.57 pence against the euro. And Britain will set out some blueprint outside the European Union on Wednesday, publishing a legitimate government minister acknowledged would break international laws in a limited way. ECB watch, overnight slump in the oil price dragged down exporters' currency, and the Norwegian krone extended an overnight hit to more than 6-week low. The euro is also steady as investors await the ECB meeting with some trepidation. Any hint of concern that the currencies rise, low inflation will require ultra easy policy for a long time, could have whacked the euro lower against the dollar. And that's it. And let's go move on to the analysis. And it's raining like cats and dogs over here, so I hope the electricity doesn't go down or something like that, or internet go down. Just want to advise. So the euro paired back to support level of 1767 ahead of the ECB. Support will be 1734 on Wednesday with resistance at 1832. So once again, 1734. And 1832 on the upside. Moving on to the cable. The cable broke the trend line on Tuesday, taking out 131 and 130. Support on Wednesday will be 29.35 with resistance at 30.60. That's 29.35 with resistance at 30.60. Okay, and on to the Aussie dollar. It's raining pretty hard over here. So the Aussie with the continued sell-off and risk dipped towards 72 with its lowest close in 2 weeks. Support will be 71.42 with resistance at 72.42. Well, we're trading relatively quiet overall. And on to the Kiwi. The Kiwi veered towards support at weekly level of 66.01. You can see that here. Support will be 65.75 for the resistance at 66.41. We're almost there. And on to dollar CAD. So the dollar CAD closed above 31.57, signifying the short-term bottom. Resistance on Wednesday will be 32.68, followed by 33.08. Support will be 31.75. And on to the dollar peso. So the dollar peso saw a smart rebound, closing above 21.75. Resistance will be 21.92. Looks like we just hit it. I mean, we got up to 21.90. Looks like about 93. We supported 21.76. to the dollar yen. So the dollar yen slid back as equities stayed negative. Support will be 548 with resistance at 614. And on to the cash dollar index. So the dollar index closed above resistance level of 93.39. Resistance will be 93.89 with support at 93.02. And on to the cross rates. Looking at the Kiwi yen. We had 70.93 as our low. We even pushed even further, broke even further. You can see here. And a lot of good volume coming in right there. So your low part or support will be, it's not at the low, but it's 69.92. And on the upside, 70.59. Then on to the euro yen. We had 25.36, and we actually, same thing here. We've even pushed, obviously, the drop in equities is what prompted these extended pushes. But you can see right here, support level coming in right there at 24.37. Right in here in this dip. It actually hasn't even made that low, but that would be your risk level. So it's actually 24.36. And on the upside, right there, these two lows touching right there. It's going to come in at 25.18. We're going to keep pretty tight. And on to the euro odd. On the upside, we had 63.31. You can see here we've already challenged the 63.40 area here. And the high here is just going to be, you see this bar right there, the low here, right there, which would be 63.49. So we'll go with the 63.49 on the upside. And on the downside, coming across, you see all these touches here, it's going to be 63.27. And onto the Euro Kiwi. We had 77.15. We've actually, same thing, made a pretty good recovery on here yesterday. And you can see all these touches coming across here. It's going to be 78.45. With support coming in right there coming across here. That closing these touches 76.74. And next is the Aussie yen. We're looking for resistance of 77.76. We've actually just about there. Actually, we have tapped into that. We'll stay with the 77.76. The only difference is on the support. You can see these touches coming across. Support's going to be 76.21. Then on to the guppy. Pretty good pullback here in the guppy, and for support, we had 39.40. Boy, have we taken a dip. Well, with the weakness in the sterling, the risk, although we've already come down here, the risk would be down to 36.42, and this has already taken a pretty good drubbing already. And on the upside, 38.09. And onto the sterling odd. Still another pretty dramatic drop here. Same thing here. Risk, if it say to push even lower, 78.25. Bit of an extreme move, but that would be the risk. And on the upside, these two highs coinciding with this low is going to be 79.60. We've already seen a pretty good rebound. You see here the euro dollar is still relatively weak. But we have seen a decent rebound. In the after hours, you can see how Tesla dropped all the way down to, was it 308? Rallied all the way up here to 354, currently 348. Same thing here with Netflix. Some pretty good bounce backs here. Look at even Microsoft here. So pretty good bounce back in each of these here. NQ did rally up here to this 12,253. The high was 12,265. Remember, we're looking at 12,268 and or 263 and this extreme of 294. So we may go and see a pause here. You see here we did get that 12,260 here. You see right there? So we got it, and we'll see if we start to go on and pair back. Support at this point would come in right there at 1192. I'm not sure if we'll make it all the way back down, but we've certainly had a pretty good run up in here. Maybe a time to take a little bit of a pause in here after that run. Take a look at the S&Ps. Same thing, a little bit tired after making this run here. Quick look at gold. Still holding above that 1922. And that'll be it. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar, and we'll see you in the chat room.